What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we're going to be looking at some results in the Team Up Through Battle Styles standard format from online tournaments held on play.limitlesstcg.com. We'll be looking at 3 tournaments that all had over 100 participants, but we'll mostly be focusing on the Colossal tournament from March 23rd, since the other 2 have already been covered and viewed quite a bit, since those were a few days ago. Before we get into it though, shout out to PotonStore.com, the best place for you to get PTCGO codes, and be sure to use code CELIO for 5% off. Also subscribe to this channel for daily Pokemon TCG content, and be sure to leave a like and comment if you enjoyed the video. So we have Battle Styles being played for the first time in standard format on play.limitless. We had the I think 300 person tournament here. Yeah, Sunday Open was over 300 people. Hexter was, I want to say, over 300 people, but we can confirm that real quick. 200 people exactly. And then the Colossal on 323 was over 100 people. So we can just look at the metagame shares real quick. The Sunday Open, which was the largest of them all, had Zacian ADP as the only archetype having over 10% of a meta share. But the Rapid Strike Urshifu, there are some other decks that included Rapid Strike Urshifu, and there's also Dragapult Urshifu. So some of these decks could potentially be combined into just Rapid Strike Urshifu archetypes, but looking for what the data shows, Zacian ADP was the first most popular deck at the Sunday Open, then Rapid Strike Urshifu, then Scorch, then Victini, then Corviknight. So 3 new VMAXs were in the top 5 most played, which is pretty cool. I do think Battle Styles is a very strong set, which I've talked about multiple times on the channel, so I do expect new Battle Styles cards to continue to be playable and successful in the standard format. If Rapid Strike Urshifu maybe seems a little underplayed to people, that could be because 1, the cards have just come out, so not everybody has the cards that they want on PTCGO, and 2, Inteleon V, there's some sort of bug happening in PTCGO where when you move the Rapid Strike energy from Inteleon to a benched Pokemon, it then only counts as a single energy as opposed to the double Rapid Strike energy that it's supposed to count as. So that Inteleon bug could either be causing game losses, causing people to play suboptimal lists without the Inteleon, or just not playing the archetype at all. So there are some external factors here that could be having to do with the lower count of Rapid Strike Urshifu, if you think it is lower, but 8-9% still very, very solid. The next day in the Hexter Season 3 number 38 tournament, it was the same 2 decks at the top popularity, Zacian ADP and Rapid Strike Urshifu variants. Mad Party saw an influx in play, and then we have Victini as well as Single Strike Urshifu popping up into the top 5 most played decks, and Corviknight dropping back down a little bit. And then the next day in the Colossal tournament, Season 3 number 7, Zacian ADP is number 1, but then straight Dragapult's number 2, Dragapult Urshifu is number 3, and then other Rapid Strike Urshifu variants are down here at number 6. So Dragapult in general was the most played archetype if you combine Dragapult and Dragapult Urshifu. Now, as we look at the results, we might see why some of these things happen. So in the Sunday Open tournament, Scorch ended up winning, and it was a non-Battle Styles deck. So if we just take a quick look here, you can see there's not a single Battle Styles card in this deck. Not even Escape Rope, not even something as small as that. This was completely a pre-Battle Styles deck winning the tournament. So yeah, it shouldn't discourage you from playing in these tournaments if you have not been able to get Battle Styles cards yet. This won a 300+ person tournament without a single card from Battle Styles in it. This tournament I played in, I got top 8 with Victini VMAX Mewtwo. I already featured this deck on the channel twice, so we won't spend extra time on that. But there were 2 other Victini decks in the top 8 as well. So Victini VMAX did really well in this tournament. This is kind of a a Scorch skeleton, but Scorch is omitted in place of having the Victini VMAX line. So kind of like Tempozard, Scorch. There's a couple things you can compare this one to. And then Stefan Ivanov played a Blown deck with Victini VMAX. So 3 Victini VMAX decks in the top 8 of the largest Battle Styles tournament we've had so far on Play.Limitless. We had a 2 ADPZ decks, another Scorch deck in addition to the one that got first place, and then also a Decidueye deck with some interesting stuff going on. They had the Apom, and they also had the Swanna, which benefits from Birdkeeper being played because then its attack is free. So Decidueye Swanna also getting into the top 8 there, which was an old deck, but finding new success. Since this was such a large tournament, we definitely should not count out all of the decks that made Phase 2. There were 40 people that made Phase 2 at a 6-2 record or better. Everybody with 18 match points progressed. So Phase 2 did see a lot of decks. Notably, there were a fair amount of ADPZ decks. ADPZ is just a solid deck to play when there's a new metagame. When there's a new set out, older decks that are already optimized and lists that are already optimized are going to be really good to play at the beginning of a new set coming out, because people are trying out new things that might not work. They might be trying out bad lists, but for archetypes that will later be good. And decks like ADPZ can just take advantage of that because they're aggressive and just end the game really fast. And that's actually why I played Victini VMAX, because it's a deck that's very aggressive and can just take advantage of your opponent's inconsistencies and suboptimal decks. So for the same reason I played the Victini VMAX is the same reason why ADPZ did really well, in my opinion. We've also got Caleb Gedimer down here playing Chichino Rapid Strike Urshifu. We had some straight Dragapult, Magnechu, Mike Fouché playing Spirit Tomb. Mellow Magikarp played Tapu Koko VMAX, which I played against him in round 1 of Phase 2 at this tournament. We had some Corviknight, we even had some Eternatus, some Lightning Mewtwo, some Pikarom. So this was a very, very diverse Phase 2 of this tournament. Going on to the Hexter tournament, let's see. So Green's Dragapult won the Hexter tournament. So there are some things to talk about here in terms of the metagame development. Green's Dragapult, which is a deck that saw pretty much 0 success ever in North America to my knowledge, or in Limitless tournaments online, since Dragapult's only been out outside of Japan for the online era. Green's Dragapult ended up winning this tournament with a 10-1-1 record. And there was also other Dragapult decks being played, just like the other tournaments, namely Urshifu Dragapult decks. And Inteleon VMAX also made top 8. So the question here is, Inteleon VMAX and Dragapult VMAX have been out for several sets, but they were not good in the previous metagame. Now, if we take a look at this deck, there are not many important cards here from the new set. We've got 2 Experience Share, which arguably could be a strong card for the deck, but Dragapult VMAX only gets knocked out once. I don't think it's a make or break card for the deck, but I'm sure it's a great tool to have. And then there's also Fan of Waves, which is energy removal. And energy removal is not something that we needed. Like, it wasn't missing from the deck, but this is a more consistent way of removing energy. So why is Dragapult seeing success now? And then we also have Inteleon. If we open this up, this also is not using a lot of cards from the new set. It's even using Rose, which was a card that was underutilized. It's using the Inteleon Stage 2 line from Sword and Shield. It's using Escape Rope, it's using Level Ball, it's using Kricketune. So Kricketune's a nice draw option, but it's not like we didn't have other draw options already. But Level Ball is something that's really good for using this Drizzle plus Inteleon engine, this little package of consistency with the Inteleon Stage 2 line. So Level Ball is a nice card to add to this deck. But really, these VMAXs are now more relevant and more viable than they were for a pretty long time, due to the Urshifu VMAXs coming out. So the Urshifu VMAXs are scaring away the Eternatus a little bit. They're scaring away the Pika-Rom decks a little bit, and Eternatus was the reason why Dragapult wasn't being played. Pika-Rom was the reason why Inteleon wasn't being played, just based off of pure type advantage. And now with those two decks being put into check a little bit by the Urshifus coming out, the metagame seems to be much more forgiving for type advantages to these VMAXs, and the metagame has actually been quite diverse for these tournaments, allowing things like Inteleon VMAX and even Lapras VMAX and things being able to be played and maybe only take one, maybe two losses to Pika-Rom across the tournament, as opposed to a Dragapult having to hit like 4 Eternatus in a tournament, or an Inteleon needing to hit like 4 Pika-Rom and get over that in a tournament. Now there's much less of those decks. If we look at the metagame, we have 4 Eternatus being played, and for Pika-Rom, 2 Pika-Rom being played. So people experimenting with a lot of new decks, but also possibly afraid to play those old decks because of their struggles against the new Urshifu VMAXs. And like I said, I already mentioned the why possibly Urshifu VMAX is not winning these tournaments. Maybe players are not using the best lists yet. There's also the Empoleon bug. There's also the fact that people might not have the cards yet. So there's many factors for that. But definitely note the Urshifu decks are getting top 16. Let's look at this one. It's a straight Rapid Strike Urshifu deck. No Octillery, no Chinchino, and then we have in 11th place a Dragapult Urshifu with Octilleries. So there are Urshifu decks, Rapid Strike Urshifu decks that are being successful, that are getting top 16. They're just not breaking through into top 8 in these tournaments quite yet. In the Sunday Open, however, there was also a single strike Urshifu VMAX in top 16 here. The single strike Urshifu VMAX decks have to kind of be straightforward. You like have to play 4-4 Houndoom, 4-3 single strike Urshifu VMAX. There's not a lot of versatility with these, but there is a lot of versatility with the Rapid Strike Urshifu. And then of course for the Crollo tournament on 323, this one, Colossal one. Now I have explanations for you all about Dragapult being played again, about Inteleon VMAX being played, about Rapid Strike Urshifu maybe not seeing the success we thought about yet, about why Victini VMAX and ADPZ are very good because they're aggressive and they take advantage of inconsistent decks. What I don't have an answer for is how Colossal VMAX won a tournament before Urshifu VMAX did. I don't have that answer. If we take a look at this Colossal deck, there's not much new going on. They have the Rotom that can search out Rotom Phone from Shining Fates, and that's it. That's the only new thing going on here for Colossal. There aren't popular new Fighting Week archetypes coming out. Arguably Centiskorch and Victini being played. I think those are like at best 50-50s for Colossal, but Centiskorch should definitely be unfavored for it. I'm not really sure how Colossal made it through and got first place in this 100+ person tournament, but it did. So was Colossal a hidden gem that people weren't respecting prior to this? Probably not. It was probably just in the right place at the right time. Maybe having to do with the pilot, maybe having to do with the other decks' inconsistencies, and Colossal being a proven archetype. It was in kind of the tier 2, tier 3-ish range already, but a deck that already had hashed out deck lists for. So that could be a potential reason why. We see straight Dragapult here at top 4, multiple Victini decks. Alex Shemansky's Victini deck is actually Victini and Centiskorch VMAX all in one deck. And of course, if you guys want to take a closer look at any of these lists, you can do so at play.limitlesstcg.com. Vinny Fernandez getting top 16 with an Excadrill control list, which I'm always happy to see control doing well. And being able to break through into some sort of placement. We've got a Bronzong box here. It would look like, oh, Togekiss Bronzong. I actually didn't know about this doing well. This is awesome. Wow. Okay, Togekiss Bronzong. Very happy to see that doing well. Some of these things are pretty similar to my list on YouTube. I was trying out the Mimikyu. I had said in DDV is probably not good because it hits more for more energy on the defending, and Urshifu's discard their energy after using their main attack. But it's actually really cool to see this doing well, getting into top 32 here. But yeah, so that's what I'll leave you guys with. I don't know how Colossal got first, but it did, so congrats to them. Trainer Chip, I should also mention, got top 8 with Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, a straight variant without Octillery, and that's how I've been trying to run Rapid Strike Urshifu, but I haven't had a whole lot of time to test battle styles. I haven't been able to really delve into it like I want to due to school and work. But that's why I played Victini VMAX on the Sunday Open. I thought it was a very simple deck and a very aggressive deck that can take advantage of things, so I think Victini VMAX is a great option if you are in kind of my boat and you don't have a ton of time to break the format, as well as ADPZ. I think Zach Cooper's list here, ADPZ with 4 Escape Rope, is very good. This is probably the way to play ADPZ. So Victini VMAX, ADPZ, Senta Scorch. A lot of the older decks too, like Dragapult. There's plenty of decks that are already tried and true that you can pick up and play in tournaments if you want to compete, but you don't have the time to hash out the perfect lists for Urshifu VMAX. And all these lists can be found over on played.limitlesstcg.com. So I hope you enjoyed this video where I was kind of going over the metagame from multiple tournaments and the placements for multiple tournaments. Let me know if there's any other kind of information in these videos that you'd like to hear about in future kind of tournament reports. We'll be doing the best decks and battle styles week 1 shortly, probably in less than a week, since I'm giving it some time to be actually played for a week before doing one of those videos, so stay tuned for that, as well as subscribe to the channel for my daily Pokemon TCG content, and check out PotownStore.com. Use code CELIO for 5% off over there for PTCGO codes. Have a great day, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.